Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Current Mind. I'm Neka Mogbo, and this is the space where I share my thoughts, lessons, and experiences as I build, pivot, and navigate life as a creative entrepreneur. This week, I've been making quite a few mistakes. Not just making them is what I've been focused on, but primarily how I react to these mistakes. And they're minor, I guess, in the grand scheme of things, mistakes. But as someone who is very heavy on strategizing for a living. I like things to be really structured and efficient, but life, especially when you're building something new, is messy. And I'm learning that mistakes don't define you or how you don't define you, but what does define you is how you move forward. So today I want to talk about a few things: my crowdfunding campaign, navigating being both in front of and behind the desk, taking care of my own needs, and in that, really finding routine, and finally doing the hard but warm, fuzzy stuff, as I like to say. Learning to speak your feelings, or my feelings rather, without over explaining or overthinking. So let's get into it. Okay, so I'll be honest. So yeah, there are a few things I fumbled this week. I missed sending a calendar invite for an important meeting, and it threw me off. And immediately, as soon as I obviously realized that I didn't send it onward, so I wasn't able to meet with the brand, I just, in the moment, I caught myself going through these thoughts of oh my gosh, how could you have forgotten? They don't think that you're serious. How could you, just very defeatist or self guilt around missing sending something as simple as a calendar invite. And I had to pause and tell myself, okay, everyone makes mistakes at some point or another. Just be kind and courteous and follow up with them via email and say, hey, I'm sorry I never sent the calendar invite. I know that this time is still, I'm available at this time still. Are you still? And they were graciously no, this time no longer works for us, but let's push it for Monday, which is totally fine. But I just, after obviously the email exchange and then being able to correct it by sending the calendar invite, it was fine. It was fine. I just, for a moment, I was kind of looking at my thought processing of why why do I why do I give others so much grace, especially when it comes to work and kind of figuring things out. But for myself, I offer little to no grace, and I've gotten better over time. But in that particular moment, I was a bit thrown off, and so I was a bit thrown off. But I was really proud that I didn't hold on to the mistake as much as I did in the past, right? Because oh god, this is self exposure, but yeah, if it was me in the past, I think it would have been about another hour long spiral, whereas this was just a 5 minute oh no, I didn't send it, too bad, let's try to rectify this. If they're not interested, then fine. But I think I was really proud of myself, and still am, within the moment of not letting a simple mistake, right, become heavy on my mind. But I also realized something, that mistakes actually only become heavy when we let them sit in our minds. Most things are fixable, right? In this case, it's an email, and sending the actual calendar invite. In another case, it might be a brand is not happy with content that was shot by an influencer or your client, and you just kind of have to rewalk the lines of what you agreed on for the content, and making sure that you can kind of work with your talent to correct it. Obviously, I'm not trying to give advice, but I mean, think about it. If I had sat on the fact that oh man, I didn't send this calendar invite and just kind of like let the conversation go dead, I'd have no idea whether or not the brand is still interested in speaking with me. I would have just assumed that I didn't show up, or I didn't send the invites, and they don't want to speak to me ever again. And I'm sure there could be cases like that, right? But there are hundreds of brands in this world, and yeah, it's essentially going to be fine if it went down the either way. Obviously, it went in a direction that I'm really happy about. I'm excited to speak with them in just a few days. But say it's something larger, right? Like, again, working with a brand, working on some content, and you produce it doesn't look the way that they expected. You kind of have to walk back a few things within that conversation, because obviously there'd be multiple conversations leading up to that, but you have to walk back and think about what was agreed on and where was the miscommunication in terms of vision, and how do you kind of rectify that at that point. If you get stuck like I have in the past in focusing on, oh my gosh, they hate it, like I tried my best, like this is, those are all feelings that are indeed valid. But what's in front of you is they've expressed that, okay, they don't like it, right? So there's obviously conversation. So maybe we can, try to find solutions together. And I do kind of want to add a caveat. You kind of have to be working. You have to be working with people who are, willing to give and take. But for the most part, even if that's not the situation, right, your due diligence is just making sure that you are, that you're open to fixing or rectifying whatever situation it is, and making sure that you can, that we can move forward, or that you and whoever could move forward, right? But I think the thing that we get stuck in, and sometimes what makes us kind of put our hands up and become defensive, is making the mistake as self-indictment on your capabilities and on your ability to just, to function in the situation, right? So the question to me would be, those times where you have carried on a mistake longer than necessary, what did you get out of it? For me, I felt like I wasted time and days. We always say we're on this earth for a finite amount of time, right? But when I look back on times where I've made similar mistakes, calendar invite, being given feedback, and first feeling kind of this shame spiral, right? What happened? I wasted time, and I made myself feel worse, right? When, whoever I was working with, give or take, was willing to navigate whatever mistake or situation I was in, right? But I first kind of beat myself up and then went to solutions. And I'm trying to shorten that first step of beating myself up. And it may be not even beating myself up per se, but just like leaving space to say, oh man, that really sucks. I can't believe I did that, right? And it ends there. It shouldn't be a continued, oh my gosh, can you even run a business? Like, are you even capable? Why would you do this? Now they think that like it has to stop at, oh, I'm sorry, I can't believe I forgot to send this. I'm a terrible person. It has to end at, sorry, let's reschedule. Let's try again, kind of. And then, on the other side of that request, right, just having faith or hope that the person or the situation, can be rectified by, your suggestion for a resolution, right? And yeah, and moving forward in that way. And if it's in another direction of the person or the thing or whatever it may be not being willing to, kind of come to the table after the mistake, then that's just kind of where your cards lie. I don't know if that sounds as positive as I wanted it to be, but I'm of the mind that there's nothing, that nothing for me will leave me. And I've adopted that so heavily, especially in these last few months of negotiating deals, handling different briefs, and also trying to rebuild or build up my roster, that essentially nothing that's for me will leave. So if I make a mistake, right, and it's obviously done in a way, because mistakes, you don't know when you do it. That's the definition of a mistake, right? But if I make a mistake and that there's no space for resolving it, then I just kind of have to let it go. As painful as whatever it may be is, I think I mourn the time I've lost or spent on beating myself up, and not just beating myself up for something so simple. I can't think back in my life to doing anything like egregious, right? Like I've never intentionally harmed someone physically or mentally, right? And so I just think when your intentions are, number one, pure, and you are trying your best to fix something, do something, and you just kind of, stumble upon or like make a mistake, like acknowledge it, try to find a resolution. And if the resolution is, involves someone else and they're not willing, you have to let it go. It's hard for me to say that because I'm somebody who is a control freak a bit. It's gotten much, much better. I'm a completely different person, but I used to think that I could fix everything, that I could, that I was the ultimate fixer. And I was kind of like standing in my own way and also standing in God's way too, of really intervening in my life and taking up all the things, which is essentially everything across my desk and across my life that requires Him to take hold of. So yeah, don't carry things on longer than they need to, So again, this week, mistakes, simple ones, big ones, or, simple ones fairly, to navigating crowdfunding. Oh my gosh. So fundraising is humbling. I'm learning that people won't give unless you tell them your story. And I think that's perfectly fine. I think I would want to know, the vision behind someone's work, especially when they're seeking out their support. It's not about whether they support me or believe in Uru. It's about being clear and being steadfast in my intentions. I can't say, hey, I'm trying to raise funding for Uru. I really want to grow and build. And it's one post a week or so, right? They're not able, because when you open yourself up for crowdfunding, you're essentially opening up your business, especially if you're doing it the way I am, where you're just hoping for some support. But essentially you open yourself up to a community who will be watching your business and wishing you well, of course. But you need to take them alongside you on the journey, specifically if you can just share it in socials or newsletters, right? And as I'm doing that, as I'm, trying to remain consistent and sharing updates, I'm learning so many different content styles that work for me, or that I'm trying to build content like that works for me, basically, that it's not a different in myself or who I am, rather, or how I speak even, that is wholly and fully focused on who I actually am. And so basically to say crowdfunding is going great, because beyond the dollar amount, I'm learning how to grow a business and how to take people along that journey too. So yeah. But in the meantime, I'm also looking for a business development advisor. Just someone to give me advice or help me navigate some partnerships and close deals. Um, I can I've been able to do it thus far, but for where I'm trying to go, especially in 2025, I really need someone to speak that language or to help me learn the language of closing on deals and essentially, driving revenue and making sales. So I'm actively searching for that person because, growth is about recognizing where you need help and actually asking for it. And as I'm pouring out my thoughts and, trying to navigate, content for this crowdfunding campaign, letting go and unlearning some thought patterns within myself, you do need someone, or I do need someone who speaks the world or global business language. And so searching for that, and I will update you guys on how that's going. But yeah, been searching for that. Crowdfunding is going, learning to unlearn certain thought patterns, right? And then also alongside of that, I've been pushing myself to establish a routine. My sleep schedule is still not great, but I'm really making sleep a priority. And I think given the week I've had, I don't think I would have been able to navigate it as clearly as I did or as I have without sleep. And I mean, it feels kind of dumb because there's multiple studies that tell us that sleep is important. But when you think you are getting enough sleep and you're actually not, and then you actually start to get the right amount of sleep, the rest of your life changes. This feels so dumb. But but for real, I am able to process, my emotions a bit better and kind of have be less anxious. And essentially, I don't know if I hadn't had a good night's sleep, if I would have been able to navigate that simple calendar invite mishap. I think it would have been a deeper spiral. I'm pretty sure it would have been a deeper spiral, right? But that's just how delicate our brains are, of needing rest, to really feed into other parts of our life. So I'm just grateful that, sometimes when you're processing things, whether you're in business, relationship, or friendships, your health really affects how you think. It affects how we understand our emotions and how we're feeling them and how we can communicate them. But lately, practicing both, feeling my emotions, communicating them, and leaving them at that, as well as recognizing my mistakes, and leaving them as mistakes, unintentional actions, right? And moving forward with that, right? So yeah, that's been my week. I feel like these episodes are essentially week by week plays on Uru and, just where my mind is at, especially as a solopreneur and solo founder. But I guess my takeaways from this week really are, mistakes are not permanent, and you don't need to hold on to them longer than necessary. Fundraising, crowdfunding, is really about intentional and consistent outreach. So whether that's your social media, letting family and friends know about things that you're doing within your business, and then building a business also means recognizing where you need support. I will, in fact, be looking for a business development advisor, or just at least a friend or maybe a former coworker, who can really speak to me about some patterns I'm seeing and how to sort of navigate them. And then routine and rest are really investments. They're not luxuries. They're not the thing that you put for They're not the thing that you put for when you are, at the most luxurious part of your career. They have to start now, and you have to, you have to make them practice. And then lastly, I don't have to over explain my feelings. I just have to honor them and share them respectfully. And that's the learnings for this week. So I'd love to hear from you. What's something you've learned about yourself this week? You can DM me or leave a comment wherever you're listening. As always, thank you so much for being here. See you next time on Current Mind. Take care, guys.